dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky. This is WYMT Mountain News Weekend Edition.
Good evening, I'm Keaton Hall. A Wayne County man has died after the car he was in went over a cliff in Pulaski County. The crash happened shortly before 6 p.m. on Friday on Highway 90. Police say Ralph Carrender was driving east when he crossed over and sideswiped another car driven by Casey Rose. When deputies got to the scene, they found Carrender's car went off the right shoulder and over a cliff. Officials said there were 4 people inside Carrender's car. The driver and 2 passengers were taken to Lake Cumberland Regional Hospital. The third passenger, 66-year-old Charles F. Lovell, was pronounced dead at the scene by the Pulaski County Coroner's Office. The crash remains under investigation. London Laurel Rescue Squad officials said rescue units pulled a body from a lake in London on Saturday. Officials said around 11:35 a.m. a fisherman called 911 after finding the body in the water. Rescue units used a boat and recovered the body from the lake. In a Facebook post, London Laurel Rescue Squad officials said all other information about this story is pending at this time. A Whitley County man has been convicted of murdering his girlfriend in 2021. John Meadows' girlfriend, Donna Lay, was reported missing on January 27th of 2021. Officials say Meadows killed his girlfriend and put her remains in a trash can at his apartment. He reportedly lived with the remains for around 3 weeks. The jury recommended Meadows serve life in prison plus 5 years. Today marks the 6-month anniversary of the flood on July 28th that wrecked so many communities throughout our region. WYMT's Chandler Wilcox went to Letcher County to talk to survivors about how they remember that day and what the next step is.
Water now sits below the creek banks, but the mental replay of it so many feet higher has changed perspectives.
Life has changed for everybody. Don't take nothing for granted. Stuff is just stuff. Your life is more important.
Separating life from destroyed items has not been easy for a lot of flood survivors. It was picking up each other that is helping them through the grieving process.
The kindness that people showed us is what really sticks out. I've tried to move past all the, the devastation that happened, and really at this point, I can focus more on all the help that we received.
Even through all of the destruction, packing up and traveling outside of the region was not on Lacey's list for recovery.
I think sometimes my work is for a specific community, and the community is here.
Nor is that the mission for Wallace, a man who grew up in the firehouse and plans to rebuild the Letcher County Volunteer Fire Department that the flood washed through.
We're going to rebirth our new fire department here, start next week. We're doing funding basically on our own with some insurance. Hopefully we'll be back bigger and better than we ever were.
Wallace says they are also taking donations through their Facebook page. In Letcher County, Chandler Wilcox, WYMT Mountain News.
Wallace Bowling also said he feels like firefighters in the area are like a family now after battling through the flood damage. Funeral arrangements have been announced for Dr. Elmer B. Ratcliffe. Ratcliffe was a well-known doctor here in Perry County and owned and operated Elmer Ratcliffe Family Practice in Hazard for more than 45 years. He also served as the chief of staff at Hazard ARH. The family will receive friends from 5 to 8 p.m. on Monday, January 30th at Maggard's Mountain View Chapel. The service will be Tuesday, January 31st at 1 p.m., also at Maggard's Mountain View Chapel. Today is the 3rd year anniversary for the Red Spotted Newt, a locally owned bookstore here in Hazard. They celebrated with coffee and donuts while customers got 50% off hardcover books. Owner Mandy Scheffel is proud the bookstore is still running after the COVID-19 pandemic and flooding from late July, but also says she can't take all of the credit for it.
It was a community of people that supported me and wanted this business here, and I think the bookstore has been one of the cornerstones for the development of downtown Hazard.
Scheffel said working as a bookstore owner has been a dream come true. WKCB, the Killer Bee, has been a pillar of service in Knott County for several decades, and when July's flood ravaged Knott County communities, it destroyed WKCB's building and took them off the air, but not for long. WYMT's Alyssa Williams checked in with WKCB staff to learn more about their journey post-flood.
Just days following July 28th's historic flood, WKCB staff were cleaning up what was left behind of their building.
I was just in total shock. I'd never seen water like that before, and I really didn't know what we were going to do.
After assessing what could be salvaged and what could not, those with the Killer Bee came up with a game plan to get back up on the air and to serve listeners as quickly as possible.
It got 4.5 feet inside the building, so that was a 10 feet of extra water, and so I was just in total shock. But I realized we had to do something, so we of course temporarily broadcast from my home for a few days before locating this building. And we've moved in, and it's beginning to feel like home now.
Not only were staff members happy to be back on the air, but listeners like Billy Childers were happy to have them too.
Oh, it was great that they were back on. Then I could hear some information, some local information of what was going on, and the devastation that it had in other areas of our county, which I had no idea.
WKCB's general manager, Randy Thompson, says although the Killer Bee has been operating out of its original building for decades, this move feels like a silver lining in the midst of destruction.
It's worked pretty nice for us. It's really a convenient location, and more people are seeing us, and it's easier for people to come by if they need something. So it's worked out really well.
Thompson adds that although it's devastating to lose the building that holds so many memories, thanks to community support, he and his staff are able to create new memories in the new location.
We're all in this together, and we will make it. Now, it will take a while, but we will make it.
Leaving behind a time of static to make waves for the people of eastern Kentucky. In Knott County, Alyssa Williams, WYMT Mountain News.
WKCB's general manager Randy Thompson says the station lost nearly $500,000 in equipment due to the flood, but he says the Killer Bee is blessed to receive an outpouring of support from the community, which has helped them build back much of what they lost. Stick with us. Cameron's got a look at the weather coming up right after this break.